I'm SCP Slayer, and I'm here with an eldest. And today,
And this is
gonna be a very awkward thing because you don't fully have an intro for this. But this is the Slayer and an eldest podcast. First episode.
the actual,
Yeah.
or a redo, because we did like a rando cast like over a year ago that never went anywhere. So this is the official podcast that me and Slayer are going to try to do at least once or twice a week. So daily podcast content where we talk about current events involving gaming or drama on YouTube and our perspective and our thoughts of things.
Yeah.
We're going to try to at least talk about one big thing on each episode and just, I don't know, talk and see, like, hopefully we sound smart while talking.
Hopefully. Chances are we're gonna sound like dumbasses occasionally. But, fuck it.
Yes, so today's question, simply because the game has just been released not too long ago, and it has been a talking point among a lot of gamers, including ourselves, because we are fans of the first one.
Yeah.
I was hoping that you were like, oh no, I don't like the first one.
Oh no, I fucking hate the first one. That was trash. That was just a bad game.
The second one was the better one. No one says ever, or
No
smart people. No
one in
smart
their right
person
mind
says
has
it.
ever fucking said.
Well, actually, the second one does have a small there is quite a bit of people that are very loyal to the second one. I don't know why, but they are.
I could say something, but I'm not going to.
So the first question, so today's topic is, of course, is The Last of Us Part 1 a remastered or a remake? Because Naughty Dogs released this game advertising it and calling it a remake. But is this actually a remake, or is it a remastered? Because they already remastered it, so this would be a remastered.
Yeah.
Yes, because I mean, I don't think it's wrong to say that. I mean, visually, if you've seen footage and of the Last of Us Part 1, visually it looks stunning. Visually, there has been an improvement in the facial structure, kind of matching.
If you go back to the original on like PS3, it already looked fucking stunning.
I mean, dated, obviously, but
yeah,
stunning for its time.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like that's actually something that I feel like the first one, going back to replaying the first one and then looking over at Part 1, I think that's something that it's being looked over, is the fact that the time where the first Last of Us was made, which was towards the end of the life cycle of the PS3.
Yeah.
Admittedly, a lot of things, or at least the gameplay wise or the level designs, have severely been outdated.
Yeah.
Like even if you just played the second one, which is much more realistic in how you would survive in a zombie apocalypse, or the stealth. The level design is much more realistic rather than just giving you simple cover-ups like a typical, PS3 games that the first Last of Us did.
Yeah.
Which they do not change for Part 1 at all. It still has that feel of a PS3 game because they didn't change it.
Yeah. They kind of just kept it all weird, I guess.
It's just you have in the first scene where you have Tess and Joel, where they're trying to go after Robert right in the beginning of the game, and she shoots the guy. They have these convenient crates that they can use to cover up.
Yeah.
Which is very, I mean, at the time that was just normal, but for 2022, when you want to supposedly remake it, they didn't remake it. I think that's the funny part, is that graphically they have updated a lot of things, and they did like make the AIs much smarter and fixing a lot of the glitches and bugs, but at the same time, like, that is the only thing that has pretty much changed. Yeah. Everything else is like the same. The story's the same, the gameplay is the same, and the levels are the same, the story's the same.
Which, by definition, does not make it a remake. It just makes it a remaster.
I think that's like something that. I mean, could they actually?
If you look at almost every game that has come out that is a remake, they redid everything. There will be new levels, a bunch of new reworks to everything. It'll play more similarly to if there's a second one, it'll play more similarly to the second one compared to how it used to play.
Like Final Fantasy VII?
Yeah.
I think because
I completely remade the entire fucking game.
I think it's because I've heard some people saying that they couldn't change the story. Like, some people say that it was smart that they didn't change the story because the story is already good, where it didn't need to be changed, and that people probably wouldn't like if they changed the story.
But level design and gameplay could have been updated.
Which was, I wish they added the prom and the dodging from part 2, because as much as I didn't like part 2, the fact that the prom and the dodging in part 2 added so much the realism to the game, or it added a lot more skill to it. You couldn't just button mash. You actually had to try, which with The Last of Us part with PS3 as well as the remastered, which I have both and played both versions.
Yeah.
It is a lot of button mashing. It's not. I mean, you don't have that.
Oh yeah, there's tons of button mashing in there.
You don't get the full experience, admittedly, from the gameplay like that compared to part 2 because of those two things.
Yeah.
But I think it's that they what gets me is that they advertised it, quote unquote, built from the ground up for PS5. So when you say that, when you advertise that, I'm expecting at most new gameplay, new game mechanics, and new level designs.
Yeah.
Which
or at least
none of those.
Don't just upgrade the spectral mapping on the level, redesign it so the spectral mapping works better, and there's new little bits of detail there. Because a lot of games will do that when they remaster their games. They will add entirely new bits of detail to the landscape. I forget what it was. There was this one other game. I really forget what it was, but they added a completely new little Easter egg in it. I forget what game. God, I can't remember the fucking game. But yeah, they added new Easter eggs and a bunch of other shit to it when they remastered.
I think the advertisement just really threw me off, because one, I was surprised that they were actually remaking it for the third time. But then when they said that it was going to be a remake, I was generally surprised by how much, how little was actually being changed. Because they took away the multiplayer, which I personally never played the multiplayer ever, but I know a lot of people.
Multiplayer much.
A lot of people did actually. A lot of people love the multiplayer. Hell, it's still a thing now. A lot of people still have a loyalty to the multiplayer, and they didn't even add it in the remake, and they are still charging people $70. That's the fucked up part.
So all they did was remaster the graphics and take away a feature. That's just a scam at that point. That's just a fucking scam at that point.
Well, I mean, I'm not one to be oh, this is a conspiracy, but some people say that the release of Part 1 is meant to match with the release of The Last of Us HBO series, So like when people watch the series, they're like, "Oh, I really want to look into the game," and then here's a $70 updated version of the game right here,
again,
so
it's a
conveniently.
That's just more of a scam thing. Which would not be too far off for Naughty Dog. They tend to do low effort nowadays. Like, have you seen their games? They're buggy messes half the time.
I mean, part 2 has been very... It's been divided. I personally don't like it, but I know a lot of people that do like it. It's actually funny because the same... It's like, for part 1, it just shocks me how a lot of people still, like, support, like, Neil Druckmann and Naughty Dogs when they keep doing the same exact shit of this misleading false advertisement. Like in the first official trailer release of them announcing that there was going to be a part 2 game, they made it look like it was going to be about Ellie and Joel. And then they released another one about Ellie to make it more like, oh, this one's about her. And then it's not even about, it's more, you know, they added Abby all of a sudden, and then the game is about Ellie and Abby rather than Ellie and Joel. In some cases, more about Abby than Joel. And then they did the same exact shit for this remake because they painted it as that it was going to be just that, a complete like remake of it, and then it's not. Yeah. But they still advertise it as it. Like part 1, this is supposed to be a remake. That this is like qualifies.
Again, that the company just got a hold of a lot of money, and now they just want to keep that money raking in. So they're just tricking people into buying the same game again.
Because once again, there are people that are supporting this, saying that the devs worked so hard on it that, you know, they deserve money for their time and all of that. And I get it. Like, I'm not expecting this to be, like, free or anything, but I think what people also need to realize is that they had everything already. They didn't need to do any reshots. They didn't need to do, like, anything over-the-top new. Rehire anyone.
Honestly, they didn't really need to do that much effort. They just had to retexture and
redo what they already had.
Yeah, they had to redo the light scaling, redo the fucking bloom, brightness, just texture features. Which
I mean,
which is hard, but it's also the easiest part of the game making process. So
essentially, like, they're going to be making, depending on how many people buy it, they're making a huge profit off of this because they didn't have to put too much, like, money-wise into remaking this thing for the 3rd time. Or yeah.
Because they had all the assets, all they had to do was upgrade them slightly.
That is true.
It's not even that much of an upgrade when they already had a PS4 version.
I did see side-by, like I said, I played a bit of it, seen like side-by-side, and I do personally think, like, if there is a version of The Last of Us you want to play, it should be part 1, because it is the best looking one, the best mechanical one, the best gameplay one. My thing is that it shouldn't cost $70, and it should not be called a remake. Because, just imagine if other companies look at this remake and then, like, now they know that you don't need to do too much to count your game as a remake when remaking it.
Yeah.
Because for me, and I will admit, this is just a me thing. For me, for a remake or even a remaster to justify its existence is to be like, this is the only version you need to play of this game, and we would not be better off if we didn't have it. I think the best example for me is Dark Souls Remastered, because you can't get the original one off of Steam anymore, but I have the PS3 version of Dark Souls as well as the remastered of Dark Souls on my PC and my Switch. I've played both of them.
Yeah.
Holy shit, is there a difference in gameplay and graphics, but even just like when it comes to like frame rates and when it comes to the original, because a big issue with the original Dark Souls is the lighting is very dark at times, and the frame rate slows down because it can't keep up with it. Like, if you ever play the original Dark Souls, you will see how this game was way above its time. Like, the people that are, like, I don't know what the studio's name, but the studio that made Dark Souls definitely had a lot of ideas that were much too grander at the time they first made Dark Souls. So the original Dark Souls will affect gameplay because of those mechanical errors, but the remaster fixes all of that. The remaster doesn't just update the graphics and the texture, but fixes a lot of those mechanical game like errors and bugs and glitches and the frame rate. So, like, if there is a version of Dark Souls to play, you just play the remaster because you ain't missing much on the original, but those extra, like, errors at its time. The only reason why the only time you should play the original Dark Souls is for nostalgia, because the remaster is, like, the best version, and you're not missing out on anything from the original. With that being said, when it comes to The Last of Us Part 1...
Yeah.
I don't think it justifies its existence, because at most, the remaster will suffice. With, like... You're going to get the same, like, overall experience. Maybe the gameplay might be better for Part 1, but you're not missing enough.
It's not like the original, in and of itself, had that many bugs. It's never been known to be a really buggy game. It's not like it made a record with how many fucking bugs it had. It wasn't Ark.
I think it's just that you're not missing much when playing, like, if you don't play Part 1 ever, you're not missing much at all if you play Part 1 or play the remaster. Because you can play the remaster for... If you have PlayStation Plus, you can play the remaster... Right now, we can play the remaster right now if we have PlayStation Plus for free.
Ah. At least they put it on the PlayStation. Oh, so that's probably another reason why they wanted it. They wanted some PlayStation Plus money. Because they get paid for doing that.
Well, Part 1, you have to pay $70. The remaster, you can play for free on PlayStation Plus.
Ah.
Which is hilarious. No, I just think that The Last of Us Part 1, overall, despite how beautiful it looks, and how, like, the small changes they do could, like, better the experience, I don't know, I just feel like that overall it doesn't justify its existence for $70, or just, like, justify its existence at all. Like, I could live without it, I guess.
Yeah.
I think it's cool that they're putting on... I think it's cool that they're putting it on PC, though, but... I think the reaction would have been better if it was at most $40. I don't think people would care.
Yeah. But the full $70 of the original fucking game...
A game that's, like, over... the game is, like, 10 years old now.
Yeah, no.
No.
But they're gonna try and milk the cash cow.
I wonder how well it's actually been selling. Because I know some people got, like, review copies of it from Sony. I know some people have actually bought it to play it to see the changes.
Yeah.
I know a friend on campus that they bought it, and I played a bit of theirs, so I can actually say some differences between the remastered as well as Part 1, but... Which is why I say that if we were to play A Last of Us, Part 1 is the way to go. And that's actually the hard part about critiquing, like, The Last of Us Part 1. Because everyone knows, because they didn't change the story, we all know it's a good game. Like, we know the story is good, the gameplay is fun, even, you know, even without Prom and dodging, which I would have loved if they added, you know, it's still fun, but it's like, it's so hard because, like, we know it's good, but is it good?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just
so,
it's a weird thing there.
Yeah, that's the... Man, The Last of Us has just been going on this up and down roller coaster since the announcement of, like, Part 2. And it's been this division, and I will be honest, too, I feel like because of my sour thoughts of 2, it kind of that alone would not make me want to go back to the first one because I already know what's gonna happen. I don't know.
Yeah, when they fuck up the second one, it's just like, you want to play the first one? It's just like, why would I want to go and learn the good bit of the story again when I've already seen that it turns into shit?
Now I want to watch the HBO Max story though because I do want to see where that goes.
All right, hopefully they fuck that one up.
I heard they actually plan on changing, like, when it comes to... They didn't confirm or deny at the last I checked if Joel was going to die or not, but I do know that they talked about changing a bit of part 2 once they get to that point, because they did Joel dirty.
Major.
And actually, that's another thing about part 1. I want to talk about this real quick.
Yeah.
Is that in part 1, they didn't just change. Some of the changes they made are like within cutscenes themselves. Like, well, they're not big at first glance, but then when you really look at it, when you think about it, you can actually like see what I mean. So there's like the scene when they get to where was it? When they get to where Joel's brother is at.
Yeah.
And Joel is trying to convince Ellie. Joel like tells Tommy, "Hey, take Ellie, to the Fireflies," and then she runs off, and they go to the house where she ran off to.
Yeah.
So during that scene, that's when they get into that big fight, and then he stares at her down, and he's like, "Yeah, you're not my daughter, and I sure ain't your dad, and we're going our separate ways." Now that scene is obviously it's like a really powerful scene because it's both of them like confronting some shit that they both went through.
Yeah.
And in the original remaster game, he stares at her after he says that, and then is like kind of taken out of that trance when Tommy opens the door and it's like, "Hey, we got company, there's people outside." In part one, when Tommy comes in, he's still staring at her. He's still staring at her when Tommy comes in, and it's like, "Hey, there's people outside," and then coldly looks the other way and runs off to the window, like in the original.
Ah.
So, at first glance, that doesn't sound like much, but it changes a lot of that moment, because obviously in the first one, he's obviously stuck in this trance, realizing what he just said, and maybe regretting what he says. Yeah. And then the part 1, where he's still looking at her, there is no, like, stuck in that moment. He knows what he said, and it's like, "Yeah, I just said that," and then coldly walks off. Which changes that entire scene.
Yeah, I would imagine. Holy shit.
So it's funny because there are a lot of small moments like that in this remake. In the remake, in part 1, they have small little things like that throughout the entire game, which is quite astounding, if you ask me. Because they even did this, and actually, because this isn't the first time they've done this too, because they did this even in part 1 to part 2, like in the ending where Joel tells Ellie the lie of what happened. The face she looks at him when she's like, "Tell me everything you said is true, just say it's true," and the look she makes at him in the first game is like, "I know you're lying to me. I know you're lying to me about something, but I'm going to believe you because I love you." In the second game, when they do that exact same scene, the look is different, and it's more like, "Tell me the truth, Joel, please. Don't lie to me. Tell me the truth." Which once again changes the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it's funny. It astounds me how they did that too for the part 1 too, because there are these small little changes just like that throughout part 1. I'm not saying it's a bad thing or it's a good thing. I'm just saying that it's a thing that they did, which some people have been like, "Oh, that's kind of cool," and other people being like, "No, stop touching the game, please."
Quit changing the game that was already awesome. Quit it. Bad. No touch.
They already did. At this point, people are like, for The Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2, it's dead already, and Naughty Dog is just trying to find a way to Frankenstein his ass, and everyone's just beating the corpse up at this point.
Yeah. Again, they're just beating a dead horse at this point. They're milking a dead money cow that does not have anything.
Do you think there's gonna be a Last of Us Part 3?
Fuck no. Not after they.
Do you want there to be a Part 3?
No, let it die.
If they were to do a Last of Us Part 3, I would love to see like a prequel to the first one. Well, sort of the first one. Like a prequel between the official beginning of Part 1, which would be about Bill, Joel, Tommy, and Tess. I would love to see a game with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That's weird. So, I'm assuming The Last of Us, is it a remake or is it a remaster? Technically, the answer is it's a remake by Naughty Dog's like definition, but it appears to be more. It has like the properties of a remastered, but it's being labeled as a remake.
Yeah.
Which yeah. Jeez. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just so. It's like I love the game, but also I just hate what it's become. All my cherished things are being brushed away.
Goodbye.
And I actually had hope.
Hello, shitty, barely functioning story.
Well, it's just that it's just like I forgot what I was gonna say. It's just Oh god, I forgot what I was gonna say.
Take your time. But yeah, on the topic of like games that are just are like definitely in need of help at this point.
I do remember what I was gonna say. Is that I was actually defending this remake at first. When it was first announced, when this was first announced and people were like already shitting on it, I was like defending it, being like, hey, maybe this game could actually use a bit of upgrades. Because even in the video I made like a month ago about The Last of Us, I talked about how I thought the first one needed a Last of Us Part 2 touch in its gameplay. Because I was under the impression that that's what they were going to do.
You were expecting
and they
an
didn't.
actual remake, and they didn't give you an actual remake. They gave you a shitty, just
it's not
thing.
I want to say it's not. I don't want to say it's bad overall. I just think it's not worth the price, or it doesn't justify its existence or its price.
Yeah, no.
So, yeah. Alright, well, I think this is the last time I want to ever talk about The Last of Us Part 1. And 2, for that matter. And 2. You know, I still have the PS3 copy, PS4 copy of The Last of Us, as well as Part 2. Because why not? I almost considered, it's sad, but I almost considered getting the PS5 version just like as a complete set, but I don't want to pay $70.
Yeah, please do
not. I don't want to pay
$70 on a game you already have.
Even if I want to, I can't because I pre-ordered Sonic Frontiers.
Ah.
I said I chose him. This is my Ellie. Look, this is my Ellie.
Yes, Sonic.
All right, well, I think that wraps up episode 1.
Yeah.
Oh, we're about the 30-minute mark, so yay, progress.
Wait, do you want to do an outro real quick? Do you want to do an outro?
Sure. We need to have fancy music at the end.
I could just grab some music from this game and just play it really loud.
Well, anyways, this has been the obviously totally professional podcast episode 1 of Slayer and hopefully we are hoping to occasionally have some of our other friends join us for these great topics. But for now, this is just our test trial into this podcast thingy because it's something we've been wanting to do and kind of delayed these plans for literally over a year.
Yeah. Any of you who are
I'm an eldest.
Any of you who are older fans know that we attempted this before with the rando cast, so
Did not go anywhere. So
Yeah, no.
with that being said, I'm an eldest.
and I'm SCP Slayer.
And it's always
See you guys next time. I don't know.
we don't
We didn't take
we don't have
this. As you can't tell, we're still experimenting. So, peace.
till next time.